And we are live with
Yeah.
with me and Damian, Main Event Cards. What's up, dude? Thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, man. Not much going on right now. Sunday morning. We appreciate if there's any Australian peeps in here, any of the European crowd that have made the view. But yeah, not much going on. Happy to get this done. We've got some really fun stuff to talk about. So as per usual, Zach's got an amazing topic schedule. Let's get into it, man.
Yes. First of all, hello to everyone watching. If you're watching, where are you watching from? Hit us in the comments. We're going to be interacting with you all throughout this little chat today. But first up, Damian, I wanted to talk about Topps Midnight, man. And if you guys have been following that at all, we have potentially Topps Midnight August 8th. But Damian, I got this email, and then they hit me with like, hey, actually, what about 8/20? No later than 8/20. So that is like 2 or 3 weeks later. And whenever I was thinking about this, Damian, it kind of made me think, like, what is the scheduling going to be for the rest of the year? We kind of had freaking Sapphire come out of the blue and just jump in on us. So what are your thoughts on the scheduling for the rest of the year? Midnight, Sapphire, we potentially get Stadium Club and Finest. Like, how are they going to squeeze all these in, and what do you think is the next product?
What I think, obviously, yeah, Midnight next. I think if I'm taking a guess, obviously we're guessing, it has to be either Stadium Club or Finest that's coming after. If I was to take a guess, I think we see Finest a little bit later in the year, because I don't know if Stadium Club, obviously there's no checklist or anything or much about that product, but if we're having on-card autos, which we definitely know we have on-card autos for Finest, so I would probably, as I said, at a guess, would put Finest after Stadium Club if there is on-card autos, which we do know are in Finest. Obviously that could delay it a little bit. Yeah, if we imagine if Stadium Club does have on-card autos, and we have had no sticker autos for 2025, which is absolutely insane.
I can tell you right now, Damian, I've seen a leak of Stadium Club on-card autos again.
Has that ever been done before? We have not seen,
No.
not in my existence have I ever seen a Topps UFC product or even Panini UFC product just be on-card autos after product, which is insane. Maybe that's obviously the issue where they're getting, with these delays and things, which I can understand. It's obviously an easy explanation, and hopefully as Topps continue on with this licensing, they're going to obviously learn from these autographing sort of timelines, and then they can do it to suit next year's run, for example. But I'm going to say Stadium Club's next, out of absolute guess. Then we have Finest, and then I don't know. What else do we get? Do we get Royalty for 2025 again? Obviously no gold label, I don't think. As I said, we will speculate that Stadium Club's taking over from gold label, but do we get Finest and then maybe end the year out or start 2026 with Royalty again? I don't know. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I do kind of think we get Stadium Club next. I think, Midnight's obviously coming out this month. I think after that, maybe we get Stadium Club, and I'm really excited for that. And we already got people in the chat talking to us, so we're going to get to y'all in a second. As well, I think you're right about Finest being towards the end of the year. I think that might be the last product. I have heard no rumors about Royalty. I've heard no rumors about like a higher premium, museum collection. I know a lot of us want to see museum collection, a more modern day version of that, because they had some bangers in that product. But yeah, right now I think I'm kind of right on the money with where you're at, man. And let's head over to the chat. We'll talk to some people, and then we'll get back to talking products, because we just had Sapphire release, and I'm curious to pick your brain on a few things about that. Let's see what's going down in the chat. Matt, the Golden Octagon, what's going on, boys? Yeah, and shout out to you guys. You guys had a really fun chat as well. Damian is a world traveler, dude. He's in Texas. He's over talking with Matt. He's talking to fellow Australians. Damian is all over it.
Be back in Texas next week too. Shout out Jay Money.
Yes, sir. Texas representing. We got Luis. What's up, guys? UK here, dude.
Hey,
International.
We appreciate you, because I know it's late over there. So thanks.
That's
for staying
sick.
Up,
That is
that's awesome.
Absolutely sick, man. This is such a cool thing, Damian. If you would have told me 3 years ago that I would be talking to a guy from Australia on the regular and be interacting from people in the UK. I think I had an Ecuadorian guy, leave a comment on YouTube. Everything about the international aspect of collecting and about UFC cards is absolutely sick. So thank you guys so much for watching. We got Cy and Mike travels. I'm guessing maybe is that how? I hope to God Stadium Club is $100 a hobby. Wouldn't that be something? Cy and Mike, that would be absolutely insane. There is 0% that the Stadium Club is going to be 100 a hobby. I wish, man. But there's no way.
Bitcoin, but,
oh no, not 100 Bitcoin. All right, let's see. Oh, Matt's the pessimist. At some point, we're going to be getting cards from 2 years ago, 25 and Jan 27. I disagree, man. Topps is rushing these out insanely fast. I think we might actually be close to on track whenever we get back into the year of 2026. All right, Damian, back to some Topps Sapphire and some What's news. So we have it releasing at $279.99 right from Topps. A lot of the resellers right now are going for, let me screen share real quick. They're going for about, we got everywhere from lower than I expected, honestly, about 300 to 360, a lot of 340s. It looks like to me about an average of like 330-ish on the secondary market from the resellers. I still have not seen these as looking a few days ago. I had not seen any of these on Blowout Cards or Steel City for sale. So my question to you is like, are we not going to get these from those big wholesale outlets like Steel City and like Blowout? Now, again, that was 2 days ago, last time I checked, so they may be up at this point. But is this like one of those products where they really didn't manufacture that many and it is going to be a case where maybe holding a box long-term is a good move? What do you think about that?
Yeah, are Steel City and the bigger, obviously, retailers for cards, the card store is going to get boxes? You would imagine they would. I don't know why they don't already have ones for sale.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they're funneling them to other, channels like breaking. Maybe I'm not sure if Steel City are running breaks instead of actually selling the boxes raw, because everyone knows whether you're doing, pick your fighter or weight class breaks, you generally get your money back double when it comes to selling the box as a break as opposed to selling retail. But in answer to your question, are these worth holding? Man, it's always hard with products. I myself, as people know, I do have them up behind me. If I move to the, you can't even see them. I do have a Select 2021 box hobby that I first ever bought. And
this baby right here.
So this, actually, I paid about almost double that, to be completely honest, for this box. So that one I am not winning on. These are the most recent comps. 330, that one's selling at auction. Another one was selling at auction for a little bit more, and that was about 360. So at the moment, that's not looking good. But I do believe, obviously, debut product, that was what my thinking was behind, Select hobby, first ever year of Select, debut Select, that could be worth something in the future. Depending, obviously, it also depends on how the fighters, the rookie class out of that product go.
Yeah,
obviously,
for sure.
Hamzat Maiev is in this product. He is his first year rookie select. I'm hopeful that with maybe a Hamzat win, something happens in Hamzat's career in the future, that would be something that you would look to see push these prices up. Do I think I'm going to lose out on this box longer term? No. I honestly think the longer you hold these, the more value they're created because the less that are getting around. The only one I'm holding on to is the 2010 Series 4 hobby box. Now, this one I actually am winning on. So, funnily enough, you would think the debut Select is the one that is worth. I would have, if one is increased in value, it would be the debut Select, but it's actually not. So these have increased about double in value since my purchasing, which is coming on 4 years ago now.
Yeah.
And it's basically maybe break even. There's no recent comps. This one's is out for sale, but this is what the going price is. We can see that one has 71 watches, and it's the last one with 11 sold. This is the last one left. There's only one other one that's listed for a similar price on eBay right now. So I think pricing wise, it's safe to say these ones, as I said, this is currently sitting at double what I paid for mine, which is great. And as I said, it makes up for the loss of the Select. But I think longer term, I'm not going to lose out on holding those boxes. I think both of those boxes only really should increase from here on out. As I said, if you especially want to add in the added ingredient of Hamzat potentially becoming a champion very much soon and having his rookie card in that Select product. But I think regardless, I think both these boxes only increase in value. Sapphire being debut Sapphire for Topps this year, that is an added aspect that would make someone want to hold on to it. Should you be holding on to your box as a Sapphire? That's a question you need to ask for yourself. Obviously, depending on what your buy-in value is, we're seeing people there, buying in for $50, $60, $70 more than what its listed price is at the moment. Strong rookie class as well for 2025s. That's another added reason why you could hold on to it. But I think debut, strong rookie class, they're two great reasons to hold a hobby box long term.
Nice, man. All right, we got some people in the chat I want to get to, and then I'll kind of finish out. Your mama, what up, Moo? I'm guessing that's Moo Rips. And dude, I got a really fun John Jones auto video coming out, and Moo gave me some details on that, and I'm excited to share that with everybody. We got AJ, gang. What's up, dude? We got Cy and Mike Travels. Sapphire value will depend on how the big rookies pan out. So pretty much exactly what you're saying, Damian. I mean, whenever we have a product, so much of it is determined on the career longevity, what the accolades were, the hype behind the rookies in that product. And that is kind of one reason why I decided to get one of the 2025 Sapphire boxes. And I bought two on the top drop. Got lucky and got two of them. I'm going to keep one long term. Just what you and Cy and Mike Travels are saying. I do think long term, there's so many decent rookies in this. Like, there's a couple really high profile rookies already, but there's at least 10 people in here that are like pretty middling fighters that, depending on if they get a win or not, they could easily be vaulted into rankings and then potential contenders later on in their career if they continue to improve. So I kind of am going to be with you, Damian. I'm going to be holding long term on the sealed product. First time I've ever done it, man. So I am curious to see what happens long term. But when I was looking at some of the prices within Sapphire Edition in other sports, I was like, maybe this is a good move. And let's kind of, we'll screen share those and talk about that. So we have card ladder here. Now this is MLB, obviously, so it's going to be a little bit different ball game. But we have it coming out at around $475 or $550. And this is October 10, November, right? So kind of in the fall. Immediately, it's shooting up to around 600. And modern day, we're looking at 750, 800. We got some 600s, 900. So kind of all over the place. But some of those are some really, really big sales. So I am curious to see long term what happens, man. What is going to happen with this? And is this experiment going to pan out? I'm thinking at least 5 years. I'm thinking 2030 is when I'm going to see. Now, maybe if it doubles in price, triples in price, maybe I sell it before that. But that's kind of my plan. So I am curious to see what happens with that.
Yeah, man, definitely. And that added point too, I am actually going to put my select hobby box out for sale on eBay when Hamzat fights. And if he wins, then obviously I want to be one of the first ones who can be taking advantage of that. Obviously, I'll put my lowest sort of buy it now price and see what happens. But yeah, I think when you're talking about holding sealed products, you definitely it needs to be a 5-10 year plan in my view, for sure, to watch that. Let the boxes dry out and add the supply element on your side.
Yep, for sure. Especially, and also another reason why I decided to try and hold this box long term is the difference in landscape with breakers now is insane, man. Like when we first kind of 21, 22, there was like Chicken and like maybe 2 or 3 other people. Like everyone, like even people that do normal sports, traditional sports, are ripping UFC boxes now. Like, I just don't know if there's going to be a lot of these boxes that are being held long term. So interesting play and interesting ideas there. We got a couple more people in the chat. Also, this is the 33rd episode, Damian. The 33rd episode. I am 33 years old. Can we get 33 likes, dude? If you're watching right now, go ahead and hit that like button. Let's see. AJ, scoop up all the Sapphire selections you can and hold, in my opinion. Sapphire selections. We're going to talk about those in a sec.
Agree. We're going to talk about those in a second. AJ, he's on the right track there.
Matt, get your first year Don Russ out of here. Good hold or no? It's debut year.
Stitch up, Matt. No, I agree. It is. Hold all you Don Russ.
Cy and Mike Travels. And there are a ton of rookies to speculate on. Yep. Completely agree. 25 does have a lot of high-profile rookies that are already basically in title contention. We got Josh Van, RDR is going to be vying for a title shot. We got Carlos Prates fighting up soon. Gene Silva's fighting soon, and all the guys that are just kind of in the middle right now that could potentially pop. Manny, what up, dude? Southern Cali in the house. We got California, dude. Do we know if Roofy will be in 2025? Coast to coast. If so, Stadium Club or Finest. At the beginning, from the tops, like what would you call that, Damian? The tops, like headquarters meeting or whatever.
It was the Tops summit, annual summit.
There you go. Called. That, they did release a photo of like potential rookies for this 2025 class. He was on there. Mauricio was on there. So he has to be in a product. The question is like, when is it going to come? What product is it going to be in? But I am still holding my breath, crossing my fingers that it is going to happen.
Finest.
Oh, he's calling his shot, dude. Babe Ruth, he's pointing to the stadium, to the bleachers, and Damian says it's happening in Finest.
Timestamp that so people can come back to this.
This Mystic Damian predicts these tings, dude. We got Your Mama, round 1 to the moon. Buy box now. Dude, I love the round 1 play, and I am too much of a cheapskate to do it, but like if I had extra money, I would. You cannot go wrong with getting a round 1 box and holding that and never rip it, dude. Just hold it and never rip it, and you're going to be so happy about that purchase.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. All right, we got some more people, and then we'll get back to the topics here. Let's just hope box scanning services don't get too cheap. Dude, this is a topic that is kind of scary, and I honestly don't even like talking about it because I feel like it is going to become way more and more prevalent over time. I think the only thing that is good for us, the collector, the cheapskates, not the mega Globo gym rippers out there, is that these MRI and CT scanners are expensive, man. Like, just medical grade equipment is not cheap.
To be honest, that is one thing. David Adams, Steel City. If you don't think those guys aren't scanning boxes, man, you're living in the different world because you're living under a rock. Because I think a lot more people are scanning packs and boxes than what you understand. So just keep that in mind when buying stuff.
Yeah, I guess there was the service that was offering like you ship the product to them. They scan it, tell you the results, and ship it back. I don't know if that was 100% legitimate. It was like a little blurb that I saw on Instagram, but I would not be surprised if that is like legitimate business in the future. And that kind of sucks, man. It kind of takes like the fun and the mystery out of all of that.
Yeah, it does. But money making, when there's money involved, people take advantage. So that's just how the world is, unfortunately. But yeah, it sucks. It definitely sucks.
All right, Damian. I had an interesting question that I want to pose to you and that I want to pose to everybody in the chat. And this is the first instance, I believe, that we're seeing of Topps and in 2025 of them having 2 1-of-1s in a specific product. So, in Panini, we had this a lot. Like, we had it in Prism, we had it in Select, where they had a, Black Flash, then, Black, True Black, whatever. We had multiple 1-of-1s. Now we are seeing... with the Sapphire, we have a 1-of-1 with the Paparazzi, ridiculous name. We're not jewelers. Nobody knows how to say that. Or maybe I'm just stupid, which is a possibility. But we have the Superfractor, and then we also have the pink 1-of-1. What are your thoughts on that? How do we value these, and what do you think that's a good or a bad thing long term?
Whether it's a good or bad long term, I don't think that's really relevant because it is what we have right now.
Fair.
Valuing these, I do not have these at all valued higher than the Super Refractor 1-of-1s for 2 reasons. One, it's uglier. I don't like.
Look at the difference there.
You're sort of, trying to appeal to a very, very specific market to have that pink cracked ice 1-of-1 look.
All the Sugar Sean fans, dude. All the Sugar Sean fans are gonna like those more.
Not to say that it's bad, but as I said, I think it's a very, very niche market who that's going to have eye appealing value to. So that is why I knock it back. And the other reason I knock it back is it's released after the Topps Chrome 1-of-1. So, 2 important factors. This one's coming after the original Super Refractor 1-of-1, and the Super Refractor 1-of-1 looks better. So, yeah. For sure, these ones should be priced well, and I think these are the ones that if you're diving into your pockets to buy 1-of-1s, I'd be buying these Topps Chrome Super Refractor 1-of-1s for sure.
We know that regardless of the item, depending on the dollar price, maybe it does make sense to buy in. So we know, I agree with you. I'd rather have the superfractor. But at what point is the pink paparazzi, however you say that, 1 of 1? At what point does it make sense? Is it half? Is it a third of the value? Kind of a tough question to answer, but what do you think?
Yeah, obviously that's going to be up to each individual collector. Because as I said, I'm sure there's plenty of collectors who do love the look of these, and for that reason they want these in their collection. But in my mind, answering right now, I would say at least
half. Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know, because I'm sure we got people out there with deep pockets, dude. The people that watch this show, the people that watch our channels have deep pockets, and they're incredibly wealthy with the money they spend on cards. So good to know for everybody out there. Damian, we had a picture of RDR, and I kind of just briefly wanted to talk about RDR versus Robert Whitaker and what potentially it does for his cards. But before we do that, let's get back to the chat real quick and see what is out there happening with the people. Also, we're at 7 likes. Can we get to 33? Can we get to 33 likes?
15 watching. We should have 15 likes automatically. Come on, people. Help us
Let's
out.
See. What is the price on Midnight? Clicky 12.7. The price on Midnight, I think you could type that into Google and you could probably find the answer. Let me see if I know off the top of my head.
Account? That's clearly a troll account for Sean Strickland.
That's pretty hilarious. I paid $249.99 from Topps. Now, what you're going to pay on the secondary market, I am not sure. I think it was around $285.99. Let's see. This is kind of an interesting one. Your mama, I think sell those now while product is hot, in my opinion, for any of this modern short print. So I believe he's maybe referring to the Sapphire selections, or he could also be referring to the pink, because that is the debut, right? That is the first time we've seen the paparazzi. Dude, I'm probably butchering that. Do you know that word? Have you ever heard that word before?
No, isn't it called the pink cracked ice?
No, there's a specific. It's like a legitimate jeweler term. Somebody had mentioned it in the comments. They were like, "Hey, the pink 101 is actually called the paparazzi shoe," and I was like, "What?" So I googled that, and it's like a very specific term for like a pink or orange gem. But I'm not a jeweler, so I didn't know that. But yeah, the pink 101, it is going to be the debut parallel for that, right? So maybe there's some collectability with that long term. Do you sell now with the Sapphire selections? Before we leave off of this Sapphire talk, dude, the odds are still not out, Damian, and I am scared that we don't know how rare or not rare these cards are. The Sapphire selections could be like 4 per case, and the infinites could be like 2 per case. We have no idea. And I know that people, you know what I mean? So like, how do you value these? How do you sell these? I've seen some pretty good sales online already for them, but like, what are your thoughts on like waiting until we get that information? Or if you really like them, do you think you should buy now before we get any of that odds info?
That's a tough one, because obviously we're going to talk about these Sapphire selections in a second, but like if you don't know how short printed they are, then yeah, it makes you're sort of rolling the dice either way. If I have them to sell, I guess you're selling them because you want to take advantage of the unknown. If you're buying, then yeah, it's really just a question of whether you like this card and how much you're willing to spend, knowing that, as you said, these could be 4 per case, or they could be 1 per, crate. They could be 1 per 12 cases or something. You don't know. Obviously, you would sort of maybe point the finger that they're going to be there. They're going to be the case hit, but don't know, man. I myself would just have a figure in mind what I would be willing to pay for this card, regardless of its rarity at the moment, and then just be happy to either pick one up for your price or wait. And then maybe that budget will extend when you actually find out how rare they are, or it'll shrink when you find out how common they are. Yeah. I'm kind of on the wait and see what happens train in that particular topic. Damian, we hit double-digit likes, dude. We're at 10 likes. Thanks everybody for watching. Go ahead, hit that like button. We're trying to get 33. Can we get 33? The Larry Bird number. We'll go back to the comments, and then we'll talk about RDR and his performance against Whitaker and what we think his value should be, because you would assume that it would go up, being that he's potentially getting a title shot. You would assume.
You would assume, but you don't know. We just went over that one. We say, why do you think people sleep on Pantoja cards? From Super Billsy 11. What's up, dude? Thanks for watching. Go ahead, man. What do you think?
I don't know, man. It's just that UFC thing, dude. Like you and I have talked about. You and I are fans of Pantoja. We think if he was at featherweight, for example, like pound for pound, he is up there at the moment with one of the pound for pound number one best fighters in the UFC. He's that good. He's on a good win streak now. He's beating like whoever they put in front of him. He fights pretty often too, which I do enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's just that flyweight thing. Like, maybe a good question. Go and ask Demetrius Johnson because he had 11 consecutive wins, and his pricing is nowhere up there as well. But who knows? Maybe I don't know what the UFC need to do to sort of spin more interest. Like, and that's the other thing. He fights it's not like he's fight safe. Like, he's a very aggressive fighter. He wins in good fashion, either getting a finish via submission or TKO. I don't know. I don't know what the UFC need to do to sort of push forward him a little bit more, but he's doing what he can, at least in the octagon. But it's just one of those anomalies for UFC that we see with plenty of champions who just don't get love, which we're going to talk about on the next collab leading into 319. But same with Dricus, man. Dricus gets no love at all as well. So it's just one of those things. It's UFC. These cards they don't make sense half the time.
Yeah, I think a big part with Pantoja is that he's not necessarily super active outside of fighting and outside of the sport of MMA. A lot of these people that we see kind of break through are extremely active on social media. They're doing like a lot of press runs. They're doing like a lot of reels and stuff. And I think Pantoja is very much in like the old school mindset of like, I want to work on my craft. I want to get in there. I want to win. And then I want to go chill with my family. And I would say the marketability is kind of where I think anyway that Alexandre Pantoja, that's kind of the reason why he's a little bit smaller than he should be. Because, like you mentioned, man, he's beaten a lot of really good names and he's made it look pretty easy. And especially with Van getting the pop that he did, if he can beat Josh Van, I think that even continues to maybe bolster Pantoja, his legacy, and maybe he will finally like get the respect that he deserves at that weight class.
Yeah, but that's a good thing. And then it made me think of that question when you sort of were giving your answer there in terms of he's not that active on social media. He's not that sort of active in terms of outside the cage, boosting his marketing. That was what GSP was like that as well. We look back now.
There was not really social media and like, back when
No, but do you think GSP would have been the guy who was on social media making crazy clips and stuff like that? So maybe, maybe Pantoja is one of those guys who actually gets love after retirement in a few years' time as the sport evolves. Who knows? So, something to think about.
Yeah, good point, man. All right, let's get back to some topics, and then we'll hop back to the chat in a second. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We're at 12 likes. Can we get to 33? So, Damian, we saw RDR put on like a very unorthodox win. Really entertaining fight, though, man. I thought Whitaker was gonna finish him, and it was super close. Whitaker was like one more punch away from just the ref stepping in and stopping that. But my question to you is like, what are his cards worth now? Because he is a super hyped rookie, right? We know that these rookies from the rookie year are always going to be at a premium. We have the 1 of 1 up with this inscription, which I'm not sure what the inscription says. We can dissect that in a second, but but it's up for 7,500. So like, what are your thoughts on RDR, his future in the UFC, and 7,500 for this card?
Well, let's start with the latter. 7,500 for this card. Good on the person selling this card. It is technically a rookie 101 debut product that we're talking about, and it's their card to sell. And it's better than putting $500 on it.
Yes, and
sort of making the UFC card look cheaper than what it already is. So respect to whoever's putting this out for the price that they want for it. I like that sort of. You should be getting what you want for this card, given what it is. What this autograph actually says: first UFC win first, and then I cannot read the rest. First, now,
Goth. I feel like there's some numbers right here, like Man, I really put some time and effort into trying to decipher this, dude. I probably 5 minutes. I sent this off to the handwriting specialists at the FBI, and they could not decipher what is in this. We had the supercomputer IBM Watson fired up, quantum computing. They could not decipher these hieroglyphics from Rene de Ritter. But I am curious what this says.
This guy from the future and sort of, yeah.
It's a new language. He's trying. He's giving us a message so that we can then profit off of it in the future, and we can't decipher it, man. But we'll figure it out eventually. We will figure it out. I was gonna say, yeah, go ahead.
Friends over, right? You buy this card. What a talking piece this one is to show everyone.
Yep. They say what everyone strokes their chin and says, "What do you think that second line says right there?" And everyone has a different. It's like an ink blot test. Whatever you think it says reveals a lot about your own personality.
He's made this card art, and I love it.
Yeah. Maybe he did that on purpose. He's the smartest guy in collecting history because of that.
Well, what was the original question?
I was gonna say, we're just having fun now. I was gonna say, Damian, on this topic, actually, I forgot as well.
No, but yeah, super close fight. I think the knees were the difference. We're talking about just how that fight. Obviously, yeah, Whittaker very close. Sad for Whittaker because he's just one of the nicest guys in the UFC. Where the pricing should be at.
Oh yes. Okay, so yeah. What I was gonna say is kind of piggybacking off your comment. For the longest time, I thought people list their cards for too cheap. I thought that's a really negative to our space and to the UFC card community is people will have a card like this, right? And in the past, we've seen one-of-ones, we've seen rookies just going for like pennies on the dollar comparatively to how rare the card is and to the potential prospects of the fighter. So we've had some really big sales within like the past 6 months, the past year. And I think that is what needs to happen in the hobby. Also, you and Matt had a really good conversation on his channel about people dogging people for listing their cards at a high price. In what world are we living in that anyone should care about another person's opinion of what you're trying to sell your card for? And also, it is up to you, the seller, to determine your sales price. It would be a terrible selling strategy to list it very low from the jump. And not recoup any value from an incredibly rare case hit. Like this is a hit of the product, dude. A one-of-one rookie of RDR van of the 10, 15 top rookies. That is like one of the most sought after cards in the product. So to me, $7,500 is a lot. I'm not going to pay for that, but I completely understand the price tag, and to me, somewhere in that range does make sense.
Yeah, I'm very interested to know because Matt and I did sort of, as I said, touch on this topic, and I agree with you. It's your card. You should be able to, at least ask the price that you want to get for it. Whether it's worth that or not, I mean, obviously that's up to the market to decide. But it's your card. It's, you can list it for what you want. But I'm sure what do we have? Got 15 people watching at the moment. I want to put it out to the people as well because I'm sure a lot of these people are active on social. Because I see it's worse. It definitely is worse on like Facebook groups in terms of UFC cards. So I want to hear what other people have of their experiences. But I do believe there's something out there with the UFC card community, and we're all a little bit cheapskates. Like we don't really want to pay. Everyone wants to get their card for bottom dollar, and I understand in terms of what if you adding the card to your collection, or you're trying to resell it onwards, trying to get a good price because you think it's worth more, so you want to make a margin there. But as you're sort of getting at, we're shooting ourselves in the foot because whether that sale's recorded or not, it is hurting the overall prices of the other cards that you may have. And it's just like a reoccurring cycle of people just wanting to get cards for way too cheap. I understand sometimes, people ask a little bit too much because they don't really understand the value of a base card or a short print or whatever. But there are cards out there that are relatively low serial numbered, are rare, good grades, and people still just want to pay absolutely nothing for them, which, sometimes, because it's even happened to me. You get pressured for whatever reason, whatever financial situation, you get pressured because you want to make the sale, you want to, move on from that and get what you can. But you sort of have this dirty taste in your mouth because you've sold it for less than what you should have, for less than the true value that you're worth. And I think UFC community are stuck in this bit of a cycle at the moment that I'm not sure how we get out of it, but we
Yeah.
need to value our cards a little bit more and sort of be okay about. So on the selling side, value your cards a little bit more, and on the buying side, stop being a tight ass. Like they're definitely within reason, but at the same time too, like someone's listing a card for $30, a PSA 9 short print rookie, and you offer them, $10, $11 because that's what you're willing to pay. Like it's hurting everyone else on the back end. So something to think about.
Yep. Love it, man. Let's get back to the chat, and then we can keep moving on in the convo. Thanks to everybody watching. If you haven't hit that like button, go ahead and hit it. We're trying to get 33 on this live. It's a lofty number. I know it's a high number, but I think we can do it. And we can only do it from you guys out there hitting that button. So go ahead and do it. We got CTMMA. The UFC is a blood sport. Bring the 101 red refractors back. And I'm with you, man. I think that'd be a fun change. Me, personally, I'm a super refractor fanboy. I think that should be the 101 for every single card in the 2025 lineup. But I completely understand changing it up every now and then. The red of the Sapphire design would probably look incredible. I don't think I've seen one online yet, but if they even have that in this checklist, but I bet it would look absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely, red 101 would have made a lot more sense. Would have looked a lot better too. I think the golds even look like they could have reserved the gold for this, and not had to out of 50. They could have the gold as 101. That would have looked awesome as well. 1,000 other things they could have done, but obviously they didn't want to be mixing color parallels in terms when you sort of have it with Topps Chrome as well. So I understand from that point of view, but. Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of other colors we could have.
Ooh, check this one out. I like this one. Sign Mike Travels. Topps need to create a blood sport subset with just blood and gore fight photos. Dude, sign me up for that. You get some really nice refraction. You get some just bleed photos in there. Really simple design with really good photography of that. Maybe like a shorter checklist, 10, 15 cards of the best photos you can find. That would be absolute fire, and everyone would like that set. Topps. Take notes of the fans, man. They got good ideas out here.
They're watching. We know they're watching. They pick our ideas up basically almost every collab, Zach. So we're going to see that 2026. Watch out. We'll get a blood sport insert for sure.
Nice. All right. Let's see. What do we got next, man? Moving off from some of the Sapphire talk, let's get into the viewer question for this week, Damian. And we had a good viewer question, which I thought was pretty interesting, and it kind of encompasses a couple different topics, right? We're kind of talking about Ilia Topuria, so we're talking about legacy and whatnot, and where we value his cards in the future, and we're also kind of talking about do we think unlicensed autos should be worth X amount, and where should we value them comparatively to licensed UFC autos? So here is the question for this week. We got Nick07. YouTube talking about me and Damian and Golden Octagon are keeping the UFC card market alive. Keep it up. I don't know about that, but I appreciate the kind words, my friend. And the first question that we'll kind of touch on, and then we'll go to the second part. Do you believe Ilia Topuria's Topps autos will keep increasing in price from where they are currently at? So we'll leave it right there. What do we think about the pricing of Ilia Topuria's autos, and do we think that they're going to increase over time or kind of stay where they're at?
Very time-dependent question. I think regardless, I mean, we even spoke about it too on the previous collab that we had, regardless of where his career goes now, whether it's, a loss or whatever, I think I hope that they only increase them here. I think they should. I think Ilia has already had an amazing career to this point. Still undefeated too, though. I think if there's a fighter sort of to speculate on, to put some money behind in the UFC, it only makes sense for that to be Ilia Topuria at the moment. I think a lot of these autos should increase in price. I think I don't see them really going down. I think there may be a few anomalies where we will see lower prices than others, but we talked about this as well. That it all time dependent and what the supply versus demand is at the moment for UFC in general. That's why we see some pricing that's a little bit over the place. But I think on the average, I think this card only increases in value. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, man. So we had a couple different autos to go off of here. We had that Superior Signatures that sold for 3,500, and that's his first auto right now. It was a redemption, so speculation. I would assume once that card gets back, it probably sells for a little more. We also had. Yeah, it should be more. We also had the 2025 Chrome Marks of a Champion auto for 3,100. That was an of 5. So that 2025, which is not a rookie auto, almost sold for the exact same amount as the Superior Signatures, which is a rookie auto. Now, again, it was a redemption. So just off of that, I think his first autos have been going for too cheap, man. I definitely think they should be much more. We're talking about kind of to piggyback off what we talked about earlier. I feel like some of these cards on the higher end are too cheap, man. They are too cheap, and like I would not be giving that card away for 3,500 of a speculative, could be a GOAT in this sport. If he beats Islam, if he has a couple more defenses the way he's looked, like he could be talking about up there with GSP and with John Jones, if not ahead of those guys, depending on what he does at 155 and if he even goes up to 170, which is insane, but it could happen. Also, I wanted to touch on, and I flashed it briefly earlier, this card right here, man. This was an interesting print run right here with this card. There was only 25 of these made. There is no parallels. I believe there is no one of this, and I'm not 100% on that, but what I am 100% on it is there was only 25 or 26 of these cards made. And this sold for 1,500, Damian. This is a first auto. This is a first auto for Ilia Topuria. That is insane.
This is why people should be watching this right now. Zach coming in with an absolute heater of information. I didn't know that. And as you said, for there to be potentially no other lower parallels, no other parallels of this auto it's
like a red ink.
Yeah, too cheap. Yeah,
way too cheap, man. And that's really one that I think people should key on. If you're an Ilia Topuria fan, I would look to see if there's any around this price out there for this card. You're talking about what I think is probably a little bit better of a design too. So I think this design's a little bit more compelling with the symmetry. And it's only potentially 26 of these made, probably 25. But whenever I was looking on the checklist, I wasn't sure if there was a one of one made. So super, super interesting there. And I guess in summation, tell me if I'm wrong putting words in your mouth here. We both think Ilia Topuria first autos and autos in general on the higher end should be going for more.
Yeah, definitely. And just to finish off that, I think if you do have Ilia Topuria, like what we're sort of getting at now with the echo of what our message is, the power is with the seller. If you have Ilia Topuria autos, it's very rarely sometimes in life as a seller you have the power over the buyer.
Yeah.
But I think if you have Ilia Topuria autos, you have the power. So set the price that you want, because what are they going to do? They're going to go off and buy it somewhere else potentially, but you're more likely going to have someone who will come along eventually and buy that card. So price them well.
Love it, man. All right, let's get back to the chat real quick, and then we'll answer the second part of the question, which is, what do we think Ilia Topuria unlicensed autos are? So let's check out the chat, and then we'll be back on this topic. Let's see. We got some people talking about... we got your mama saying, what's the most annoying is people listing too low and messing up comps. That definitely happens. Also, auctions. If you have a big card, dude, auctions are so risky. I don't think anybody should be listing huge cards at an auction. You take the bargaining power totally away from you as the seller with an auction. Man, to me, I'm not doing any more auctions pretty much ever. What are your thoughts on that, Damian? I know you've had some success with auctions in the past, but what do you think?
No, I haven't. I have not had any success with auctions. I had some success when I had about 3 cards sell for more than I paid for them, and I'm pretty sure every single time the buyer actually cancelled. So,
nice. All right.
Yeah.
Yep. There it is, man.
Don't auction. If bigger card, I mean, if you got some cards, you don't care about what you're getting for them. You just want them gone. Of course, auction them and just prepare to be disappointed. But if you got bigger cards, buy it now, baby. Yeah.
That's where the power is as the seller. You have the ability to negotiate with the person, and you can even chat with them, man. That's such a big tool as communication. So I personally, I wouldn't be listing my cards up for auction if they're somewhat big at all. We we got Jubadiah. So he uploaded the day reader to ChatGPT. It's a mix of English and Dutch. First UFC win. First UFC win. Taken down here. Nice. I love that, man.
That makes sense.
5 MC Corey. 5 McCory. Damian working hard for us. Love the new sugar jersey setup. Just beautiful display in the back, dude. Beautiful.
Yeah, I've got some lighting. I've mentioned this before. This is a rental, so I'd love to have like some shelving and stuff here. I could have more stuff either side of me, but we're working on it. It's still a work in progress. But thank you, man. I appreciate that.
I will do a couple more. Hey, if you're watching out there, hit that like button, dude. Hit that like button.
Got 20, man. We've got
20 people watching. Can we get to 33? That's our goal. It's gonna be tough, dude. We're up against the ropes right now. We're up against the cage. We're only at 16, but we have faith. We'll pull through in the end. You know what I'm saying? And we got one more here, and then we'll move on to the next part of that Ilia Topuria question. 5 McCory. I found a Rashad Matt relic with blood on it last night. Was happy about that. See, that is insane and really a unique part of UFC collecting. You are not going to find blood on any other mebs. I almost guarantee it. So yeah, I think I saw maybe a Dustin Poirier relic online one time with like a little blood splatter on it, and the eBay seller even like had like a little piece of tape and it was like blood pointing to it, which I thought was
I've
pretty
seen
funny.
that one.
Yeah, have you seen it?
One. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty
Does that carry
hilarious.
more value? Does this carry more value? What do we think?
I think so. I mean, it's just more interesting, right? Like you need what do we see with patches and relics when it's a dual color, when it's a tricolor, when it's 4 color. The more colors, the more interesting. Almost always, the more value it commands. So that not only adds some interest, but it also adds like a little bit like more familiarity with the sport. It makes it a little more like niched down almost. Like you are not going to find that in any other sport. And like you said about the day reader think piece, it's a think piece, man. Look at this. You got your friend over, dude. Look at that. Whose blood do you think that was? And they may never know. They may never know. All right, Damian. Next up on that Ilia Topuria question, let me go back to the original question. And again, everybody hop in the chat and let us know what are your thoughts on this stuff as well. Let's see. So his hype is at an all-time high. Hernick07 says, what about his true first autos from Goodwin and Champions? And this really is an interesting question. And so what do you think about the unlicensed autos? Technically, that was the first auto that hit the market. But as we know from a lot of OG collectors, and you know, it kind of follows true in other sports as well. The unlicensed auto doesn't really get counted as like a first auto. So what are your thoughts on how we should value that and just long-term collectability overall?
Yeah, we've talked about this before. Obviously, Ilia Topuria is not the first UFC fighter to have unlicensed autos before having their UFC autos. I want to, like, me as a collector, me as someone who appreciates sort of the more unique rarity in that, yeah, it was good, like it was Upper Deck Goodwin and Champions. It wasn't licensed UFC, but I would, if it was me, I would want to have that actual first auto, even though it's not UFC licensed technically, because it's not like it's the same year. It's not like it predates it by 3 or 6 months. It predates it by a whole, like 12 months. Even longer than that if you want to account that royalty come out in 2025, not 2024. But the 2023 autos, and they're on card as well. It's not like they're just sticker ones. Like they actually are on card autos. And if you want to pull up that image of that inscription piece, man, I think this should be the most valued Ilia Topuria auto that there is. Obviously, we can see it's numbered to 50, but man, this card looks awesome. Obviously, inscribed. We haven't had an inscription auto for UFC yet for Ilia Topuria, and I think that matters. And as I said, I think overall this is just a very, very nice looking card. That one's selling for obviously, you know, less than half of what we've seen for that redemption and also that Topps Chrome. But I think that card should be more valued than what we've seen for any other. I know it's to 50, but still I think that inscription piece should make it more in demand comparing to just that standard auto that we've seen. So I think that card should actually be selling and outselling any other auto that we've seen, unless we're talking about a 101 for Topps Royalty or even some of these other ones to 25. But anything higher than that, I think that inscription piece should be more chased, given that it does have an inscription. It's a first inscription auto. It is also on card. I think those are a very undervalued market. Whether it stays undervalued or whether, as I said, the more licensed autos Ilia Topuria has, which we have seen, I'm not sure if there's ever going to be a change. You never know without taking out that crystal ball. But what we've seen so far with other fighters, as I said, GSP has Don Russ autographs from 2008 that predate his UFC autos. Those don't outsell the licensed UFC autos. We've seen it with other fighters too. Typically, the unlicensed product is not as expensive as the licensed autos, even if they are obviously coming before the licensed autos.
Yeah, so Damian, we talk to other collectors all the time, Instagram, interviews and whatnot, and like this is always one of my most favorite questions to ask people and pick other people's brains. It's like to the OG collectors, newer collectors alike, I'm always asking them, what are your thoughts on unlicensed UFC cards and unlicensed UFC products? And pretty much every single person has been kind of in agreement that while very awesome and while like perfect to round out a collection, long term, if we're talking about value, a lot of times these first autos are going to kind of get left behind. And I mean, we've seen it with some of John Jones' autos early on in the day. He had some Leafs and whatnot. While technically not a first auto, I think it was released slightly after the round 2. Actually, it may have been before. And maybe somebody in the OG in the chat can give us clarification on that. But like, so while I do think that there is space for these unlicensed autos, personally, I think really fun. If it's a PC guy, makes perfect sense. Would love to have something like this in the collection. But if you're talking about like the margin and the gap from an unlicensed auto to a licensed auto, I think there should be a pretty decent gap there. There is just something to say about not having the actual organization in the card anywhere. That's just a little weird. It's almost like a celebrity auto at that point. It's not necessarily tied to the organization. It's also not in like a big premier product either. Like a ton of people probably don't even know that this product or that this card exists, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But when you're talking about supply and demand, I do think that is going to affect potentially the value you could get in the future.
Yeah, I think there's obviously a separation here, though. We're talking about licensed autos in general for UFC fighters, but then we're also talking about, and as I said, unlicensed, licensed product. Of course, if we're just generalizing, I think the license should be worth more. But if we're talking about specific examples, like we are with Ilia, where the first autograph, and as I said, this is not even a one where we're comparing sticker versus on card. These are both on card autographs. I think there should be a very much a closer gap. And I personally, as I said, if I was a collector of Ilia, I would much prefer that inscription auto from Goodwin and Champions, given the fact that it is inscripted, predates the UFC one. Because at what point are we sort of differentiating? I understand. I understand your point about being a celebrity auto, but for you as a collector, if we would put yourself in these shoes, if we're talking about someone, let's take Habib, for example. I know you have the Habib knockout first auto behind you there. If Habib had a Goodwin and Champions autograph in 2012 product, for example, that predates the UFC, as a collector, would you prefer the 2000? And we'll keep the specific example. They're both on card. One's licensed, one licensed. Which one would you prefer?
Man, it's a tough question to answer. I do think I would prefer probably the licensed auto. I think it's just a safer play, and I'm I'm super risk averse when it comes to this type of stuff. I don't like to take chances. I don't like variables that are unknown to affect values in the future. So I think that's why I would go that route. But like in this case, we have this card, right, which we know is a population of 25 or 26 at most for 1,500. And then we have this card, which is a population of 50, selling for 1,605. Now, the inscription is sick. It is a really good looking card too. But to me, that gap is not big enough, and I do think it should be a little bit more significant, being that it is not a UFC card at all. It is just an Ilia Topuria athlete celebrity card.
Yeah,
but
no, I disagree. Disagree with that. But as I said, let us know. Let the people decide in the comments.
Who are you riding with? You riding with that guy over there, Or are you riding with me?
But I understand. Like, I understand this is a difference between you and I, just personally as collecting too. As you like to
Yeah.
be risk averse in terms of, yeah, as you put it exactly, no variables. Where me, I like unique piece. As someone who's collecting, like I like those more unique, rarer pieces, and I like the I like the point of, yeah, it's not licensed, but this
Yeah.
is still, it's an official product. It's not licensed UFC, but it's not like it's customcards.com and someone sort of sent them out. Like, it's Upper Deck. Like, Upper Deck are a premier card company as well. And yeah, as I said, if it was me, I would be choosing that one.
Yeah, no, I love it, man. This is why I really like this question, because like both sides make very compelling cases, and the collectability is through the roof. With the first card, it's the first ever time his auto hit the market. So I completely understand you being on that side of the argument, and just people in general that want that card. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, and it's a perfect way to round out a collection, especially if you have, if you could get both of these, that would really be like ideal. You have both edges of the market covered at that point. All right, let's get back to the chat, Damian. Let's see. Man, let's get those like numbers up, dude. We're at 18. We're getting close to 33. If Ilia gets KO'd clean, what percentage do his rookie cards drop? Man, I mean, that's another thing that maybe we could piggyback off of the cards selling for too low. When people lose, people just get rid and dump their cards for cheap, man. And it is insane, and is definitely kind of a negative, I think, in the space. Now, what percentage do his cards drop? It's kind of a tough question to answer. In his next fight, who is he fighting? Like what was the fight like up until that point? But I mean, you would expect a drop, right, Damian? You would expect a drop, and I would say maybe conservatively, probably like maybe 10%. And that's me just being like, he has already done so much up to this point. I don't think it should be a super massive drop. So I would say maybe 10%. What do you think?
Yeah, for the record, I don't think there should be any drop. As I said, I think I'm on the bandwagon now that I think Ilia has done what he's already done, and it's pretty spectacular from what we've seen. And I think there shouldn't be any drop, but I obviously would expect that there would be. I think 10% is a little bit conservative. I think given sort of the hype that he's carrying, I think the loss, and especially a bad loss like that, if it was a KO loss, then a lot of people are going to be sort of jumping off that pretty quick, and that hype is definitely going to fade completely. So I would expect probably, maybe something like 20. But as I said, should it be lower? As I said, I think it should actually not be no drop, but I think realistically, I think we've seen more like a 20% drop for something like that. And especially Ilia has talked about he doesn't want to be in this sport that long. How many fights does Ilia still have? He obviously wants a third belt. Maybe he has a couple of lightweight defense. I wouldn't be surprised if we see only 3 more fights out of Ilia. He's still young, but he seems like a very smart guy who, as I said, has publicly said that he doesn't want to be doing this too long. So if he was to lose soon, obviously he would have to then try and come back and sort of regain some of that shine, which is a tough act to do in such a short period of time. We see plenty of likable and high-selling ex-champions regain value, keep value, but that's because they're staying. Like Max Holloway is a perfect example. For example, he's been fighting for so long already, and he's still continuing to fight. Where Ilia is not going to have that sort of career. So, to answer your question, as I said, if he gets KO'd at the moment, I think given where he's talked about having a shorter career, I think it's going to hurt him more. So it might be somewhere around the 20%.
Nice. We got CTMMA. Regarding unlicensed cards, if you're a seller, it only takes one person to agree with you. And I mean, completely right, man. That's why I do think that you should also price cards aggressively and put the card up what you want to sell it for. Because it only takes one person, and that's really all you need to sell a card, right? That's why we talk about the one-of-ones being super valuable. You only need one person to get that card sold.
Shout out CT. Actually, can little side check here. CT, while you're in the house, what is doing with your profile picture there, man? You have 2 ladies either side of you. As a single man, what are your tips? What's going on here? What's the backstory behind this?
I love it.
Your boy needs tips.
Yep. Let us know. We got talking about here, how much do you think Tatsuro market is going to jump today if he wins, from Caden Bradbury? Yeah, man, we actually have both guys. We have Hyung-Sung Park is in 25 chrome. We have Tyra, who was a rookie recently, we have some interesting prospects on this card. I think there's also one or two other ones that I can't remember off the top of my head. So we got the fights coming up tonight. Should be interesting and potentially big ups in their sales prices if they win. Now, I will say the last minute change with Tatsuro Taira, Youngsung Park does not have name recognition, so I do not think it would necessarily jump much if he does get the win. What do you think?
That was exactly what I was going to say. I think the late change hurts it in that case. But it is appealing to a big market, the Asian market. So that does obviously, it would have looked a lot better if there hadn't been the change. But given the change, I don't really think even with a win, I think it's an expected win. So I wouldn't imagine to see too much change.
Interesting comment here from Five McCory. I don't think unlicensed is as big of a deal in the UFC because there are no team logos to worry about. That is actually a really good point, man. But what I would say regarding team logos, whenever you're seeing a sports card in another sport, right, it's really not the NBA logo that is represented. It is the team logo that's represented. And the logo that's missing that you do see is the UFC. And you see that in every single card. It's usually prominently shown as well in almost every single card. So I would look at it like it's not that the team logo is missing. It's because there is no team logo. It's that the UFC is missing and the UFC is the team logo, if that makes sense. That is a riddle in itself, probably the way I said that. But
yeah, no, I agree with Corey here in terms of, because when you're missing a team logo, like it's off. This is why it's completely different. That's a team sport. This is an individual sport. As a fighter, they're fighting for an organization. Now, people are, of course, fans of an organization, but it's not like where you're a fan of a team. Like it doesn't matter who the player is. A lot of the time, if you support the LA Dodgers, for example, you ride with that team regardless of who's playing for them. So that's why you want that team logo as a part of that licensed product. But because these aren't as an individual sport, UFC, yes, it's missing the UFC logo, but I think you're either a fan of that fighter or not. So I think that's where it does make a big difference, and I think that's a great point.
Nice, man. We'll cap this off with MMA Stubbs passes. I've watched this cycle since early 90s. You're only hot for so long, then the market will abandon you. Collect what you love. Completely true. Always a safe way to collect. I do think that times will change, right? Nothing is ever static, and things do change. And I do think you can be a little bit safer with your buys and kind of insulate yourself from things falling off completely. Now, are they going to fall off? 100%. People abandon. Izzy was up to be, maybe in my opinion, a couple more wins. He could have passed freaking Anderson Silva for the best ever at 185, and his card prices are in the tank right now after a couple losses. So totally agree. Collect what you love is always a good way to look at it and a good way to collect. Damian, we got to talk about some pay-per-view buys, man. You had some massive cards last time, and you had this card up. You had this massive card right here. What happened to this? Did you even list it? Because I know for a minute you were thinking about not listing it.
I did list it, so I ended up listing it like literally 2 days before the event. I listed it pretty late. It did get a lot of traction in terms of views. I think it's had, even to this point, I think it's had 70, 80 views, only a few saves. I did price it a little bit high, but that's because, as I said, if it doesn't sell, or what we're talking about before, I'll happily hold on to this card, even though I've self-admitted I have too many Max Holloway rookies. I have the gold parallel, which is half the number of this, number 88, and the BGS 9. So that one I'm happy to keep. This one, as I said, was happy for it to sell for the right price. Did get a lot of views. I didn't have offers out. That's one thing I've stopped now. I've stopped listing offers. I just put it for buyout now because I'm sick of getting people. They'll just offer you. I know you can set your offer limit, but it was just too disappointing. Either that or I was listing my offer limits too low. I was just sick of getting it was kind of like a negative headspace. So that's why I've turned off offers altogether. Not sure if I would have got any offers for this. Didn't have anyone inbox me in terms of, would you take this? Which can still happen even if you don't have a best offer listed. But got a lot of views. Good win. But yeah, still no sale, and it's still sitting over here with main event cards.
Nice. Well, I'm happy at least to hear that it did get some love and you did get some traction there, because Max had a great performance, man. I thought DP was a little gun shy in that, but when you're getting tagged like of course you're going to be gun shy. And Max looked really sharp, and his hand speed. How do you go up a weight class and look faster? I swear he looks faster right now, which is just insane to me that you can put on that mass, and then he really does look like a better version of himself. I guess my question to you as a big Max fan, do you want to see Max versus Ilia at 155? Do you think that makes sense for the UFC? Do you think it makes sense for them in their careers right now?
I'd like to see one more out of Max first. I think I'd like to see him one more lightweight fight. Completely honest, as a Max fan, I was a little bit concerned. Like, obviously, he got cracked he's got cracked a lot of times in his career, and you would never sort of notice it. You'd never been knocked down before. I think that Gaethje fight, man, although he did a very, very similar performance in terms of he just outclassed Gaethje on the feet in the boxing exchanges, which is what he did with Dustin. But taking some of those Gaethje shots, I think, sort of took their toll, because Gaethje got a slight knockdown. It wasn't recorded, but he even admitted,
I remember that
dropping a knee. There was a knockdown in that Gaethje fight, and then obviously that was before the Ilia fight. We saw what happened in the Ilia fight. And then even he looked great. He looked, as I said, he looked one step ahead of Dustin. But even Dustin, man, cracked him. Got a knockdown as well. And it's I had a little bit of hope that, all right, we're up at 55 now. He obviously is one of those guys who sucks a lot of weight out to make 145, which is always going to hurt your chin and the fluid in your brain. But man, I don't know if I want to see. I don't know if I'm ready for that Ilia fight, because obviously Ilia is still hitting very, very hard. So yeah, I'd like to see one more out of Max at 55, and then maybe get that Ilia fight. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. And honestly, just like storyline wise, if Max can get another big win, maybe Ilia beats somebody at 155, or he, ends up going up. Like I think there is some blood there, and there is a storyline there that if Max puts on another great performance, maybe gets a big finish, I think we could maybe see them run that back again. Damian, I had the Kevin Holland card. First off, Kevin Holland looked bad, dude. He looked bad against Daniel Rodriguez. I think he came too quick after that last fight. I think maybe the back-to-back performances in a month were just too much on his system, trying to cut weight or whatever. But his reaction time was very slow comparatively to normal. I thought he just looked slow. He looked a little hesitant. He just didn't look as sharp as he normally was, man. And I really thought he was going to put it on Daniel Rodriguez, because I watched Daniel Rodriguez fight many times. He was actually a guy that I really liked in 2022 when he had a rookie card. And he looked the best he's ever looked against Kevin Holland. It was almost a flip-flop of how I thought the fight was going to go. But it was an exciting fight, at least.
What a fight, though, it was.
It was exciting.
Kevin Holland did look flat. Daniel Rodriguez did his thing as well, just hung tough. But, dude, yeah, that was absolute slobber knocker fight. Especially that, that last round. It was just insane. So, UFC loved that shit, and so did the fans. So that was a great fight. How do we go? Do we surely, did we sell it or not?
Dude, I sold it. It sold. Yes. Shout out to Down With It. He actually bought a bundle. He bought a Tai Tuivasa, and he was like, hey, if I buy the Tai Tuivasa for this price, and can I get the Kevin Holland too? And I was like, yeah, man, for sure. So we ended up making a deal on both of those, and shout out to him. Thank you for that. Also, I kind of had a little. So when I was trying to combine shipping for the international, it let me combine shipping on my side, and then on his side, it was saying that it charged him double for shipping. So I was kind of curious to pick your brain on internationally combining shipping. Can you not do that? How do you normally go about that process?
I actually haven't had that happen. What I have done before, I will actually, because I know it depends on, I think it's on the seller side, combining shipping is something that you need to, I don't think it automatically does it with eBay, unless you're registered for it. I think as a seller, I do believe you may need to register for combined shipping. So that may be something you need to look at on your end.
For international?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, maybe it is a settings issue, but I thought that was kind of weird.
Yeah. But what I've normally done is, and even I just did it recently, selling myself. If I have a buyer who's potentially looking into buying multiple cards, not only will I do them a deal, obviously we'll chat back and forth through the eBay platform, but then I'll make, say they want, I recently did this. I sold 2 sugar cards and an 8 Diaz to someone this week, I made a separate listing. So I took those 3 cards and did it for the price that we negotiated. And then I send them that listing once it's completed with the one shipping price.
Yep.
So
yeah,
that helps with fees too.
For sure. I think that was how I was going to do it, because I've combined shipping in the past on multiple times, but it has always been in the States. It's never been an international order. So I was curious, and that's definitely, I think, the safest way to do it. Don't, because it was kind of annoying, and I was like, I don't understand, but thanks for that little anecdote, Damian. We do have an answer from CTMMA about his profile photo.
Yes, that's what I love.
It's a unique photo. Us 3 were a couple in our college years, and they introduced me to my wife from their sorority, who I had no idea I'd be marrying a year later. Wow. The wild times.
Love that story, CT. You're the man. Yeah, that's awesome.
That's good, hilarious. We got Cy and Mike Travels. Let's be honest, Kevin Holland's terrible fight IQ. I know, man. I know. I just really he what's funny is, like, some fights he's able to really just be dialed in. Some fights he's not, and it kind of has been lapses in judgment. I don't necessarily think it was his fight IQ in this fight, though. I just think he was not as sharp. He just didn't look like he was on for whatever reason. But the only thing I could think of was the quick back-to-back fights. Maybe it was the weight cut that really got to him. Who knows, man? But all that matters, Damian, is we sold the Kevin Holland, dude. It happened.
It happened. We don't need to see that card anymore. So thank you, Dan, with that. Yeah. Shout out to you.
He did the UFC card community and you as well, Damian, a favor for getting rid of that card. Lastly, before we log off, man, I forgot to hit this earlier in the episode. We could talk a little bit about Top Sapphire. Also, thank you for everybody who is out there right now watching. If you haven't, go ahead and hit that like button. We appreciate y'all. I actually hit this in my box, Damian, and we were both kind of chatting back and forth. Like, what do you think is the best, looking cards from here? And we both landed on these Sapphire selections, and these are nice, man. They look really good in person too.
Yeah, just love everything about this card. I think it's a perfect design, and I love how, like, obviously the fighter image almost pops out of the card in a 3D way, with the layering. And yeah, these cards are awesome. Obviously, that was my example there with the Max Holloway, and I think I'm gonna have to. I always talk about it, I'm done buying cards. I'm not buying any cards for a long time now. I've got too much to spend on grading at the moment, which people who watch my recent video would know. But dude, I saw these cards and I'm like, yeah. Hands down, these are the best looking cards from Sapphire, in my opinion, and it's going to be tough to not buy one.
Yeah, I agree. Also, shorter checklist, man. We're talking about a 15-card checklist. I really think we need to get more checklists in the 10 and 15 zone. Just get them with absolute, stack them with studs and rookies, and that's really going to be fun and a more fun set to complete than like a 20, 25, 30. Those kind of just slog on. I also wanted to highlight just a couple of the parallels that I got in my box, man, and these cards are really pretty, dude. Really good look in person.
Yep. Anytime we can get the fade of the octagon and the crowd in the background, I'm a big fan of that. And obviously these golds look sweet. They should have been the 101, but it's not. But yeah, these they are nice looking cards for sure.
I believe, who was it? Somebody pointed out, it might have been Matty Mac. I forget particularly who pointed it out. The gold and gold color match. That's kind of sick. And you got the gold belt too.
And one thing is, obviously, how many pay-per-views we have gold gloves for? 2 or 3? I wonder if that's something, if you can get an image of your fighter with gold gloves on, that's a unique piece. That's very cool.
That's a great point, man. That will go down as like because will they bring that back? I don't know if they're going to bring that back, to be honest. We don't know that. That's all speculation. But we do know, as of right now, they've only been in there for, was it a year? Did they only do that for a year-long run?
It was literally like 2 pay-per-views, and then John Jones was like, I don't want these gloves. I can't poke anyone.
Hey, man, how am I supposed to poke people with gloves like this? Yeah, that's hilarious, dude. But yeah, really good point. I actually never thought of that, man. That's a fun one. And then here was the green that I hit, and the green is really pretty too. Down under, Volks down under.
Yeah, and the only thing I'd like before, without putting the hater hat on, the only thing I'm disappointed about is this is a separate release in on top of the already parallels that we've had from Topps Chrome, which are like through the roof. This is just adding technically more parallels to a product that we've already had. So as much as these cards look beautiful, it's like Now we have another,
Right.
gold to 50. Add that on with the
Yeah.
geometric, the true golds. It's just too much, man.
You
But they should have had these just as a separate parallel. Whether you make them lower serial numbered or whatever, but this is just the saturation at the moment. As much as these are nice looking cards, is out of control, which I don't agree with.
No, 100%. And the only way to really insulate yourself from all of these parallels is to get low numbered parallels, man. And while you may be thinking like, yeah, but they cost too much, like, yeah, but also if you get this of 75, there's 3 versions of 50s out there. You got the gold, you've got the geometric refractor gold, and then you've got the cracked ice gold. So, dude, the only way to really insulate yourself long term and make sure that the card holds value long term is to go lower in the parallel print number. And I know that's kind of like scary because of the buy-in price, but to me, that's the only way that you're going to insulate yourself from these crazy print runs that we're seeing.
Yeah, great point.
Before we get off, Damian, let's put this fact out there. CTMMA, highlight to this live. John Jones beat 5 former champs in a row. So put some respect on his name, dude. Put some respect on his name. The GOAT.
Knowing the backstory knowing the backstory now of CT and that profile pic, I'm gonna have to put a little bit more respect on CT's name. So I'll take what you say, CT, and I'll have a think about it, mate.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't hit the like button for the 15th time, I feel like I'm telling you guys to hit it again. We didn't get to our 33 goal, but hopefully we'll get there soon. And we'll thank you again for coming on, man.
Yeah, man. And people, we will be recording a collab for the massive pay-per-view, Hamza versus Drikas. We'll record that in a live. So get your questions for that collab in the comments down below right now, and we will get those answered for you on the upcoming collab and then live, which will be on my channel after this one.
Yes, sir. Go sub to Main Event Cards. Always good info on there. Always good videos. Always entertaining. Thanks for coming on, man.
No, appreciate it. Thanks, Zach. Thank people.
See you guys.